Hey team, how are you? It's day 20 of the 30-day challenge, and I just want to give a quick introduction to a video that I'm going to be now playing after this. It's probably one of the most important videos I've ever put together. It represents the key concept that I'm advocating in terms of living a great life, and it's to recognize and understand that we have a thought space. It's like a cube, and in that cube, in that thought space, is our identity, our spirit, our essence, the subliminal self that we are, the esoteric self that we can't touch or feel, but it is our identity, the essence of who we are. Hey team, how are you? So today, I really want to go through the idea of thought. And I know I've mentioned this many times, but I want to re-emphasize and re-express, re-articulate, represent this point because it's so pivotal. We have a thought space. That thought space is in the center of our head. Now, when I say in our head, I don't mean biologically in our head, but that's where we feel it. And that thought space you can perceive as like a carved out clear cube. That's our thought space, okay? And what we have to do is we have to safeguard and protect that thought space, because in that thought space, right, in that thought space is us. That's us in that thought space. And what do I mean by that is us? Our identity, who we are, our spirit that represents us, me and you, are in that thought space. But the thing is, to be able to connect to that thought space, we have to step back and we have to think and we have to get contextual awareness. We have to get perspective, because the problem is, as human beings in the first stage, what is happening is we have ourselves in the way. What does that mean? It means that we are not pure conductivity. In that thought space right now is smoke. That smoke is us. Imagine a clear cube made of glass, and in that crystal clear cube made of glass is smoke. That smoke is our default state. What I mean by that is that our default state is our lack of thinking. Now, if you don't think at all, then thoughts are just going past all the time in front of you. They're just trailing in and trailing out. So in that box, in that clear box, is grey smoke, black smoke, us, without any thought. So we're leaving it with, let's say, unfiltered water. And our thought space, contextual awareness, us thinking about our thoughts and directing and how do I say it? We're almost like going through a microscope, looking at the thought that we have and cleansing it, filtering it out of all the contaminants, the wrong thoughts that are within that thought, or the wrong properties that are within that thought. So for example, if you imagine that thoughts are made of properties, and let's say A thought can have a positive particle or a negative particle. You know, it can be optimistic, it can be negative, it can be up, it can be down. Then we have to look at that thought and pull out the negative elements of that thought, pull out the pessimistic elements of that thought, obliterate through thought itself, through us thinking about what we're thinking and trying to get a truth to it. That truth is purity. So what we're doing is, as we think, that black smoke that is in that square cube, when we think clearly, it neutralizes, our thinking neutralizes the darkness of that smoke. It kills away the smoke. And as we think more clearly, as we recognize our reality, what happens is the negative thoughts, the wrong thoughts, the falsehoods, the disbelief, the wrong beliefs, the wrong paradigms are shifted out from our mind. And when they are shifted out, then we have clarity in that square cube, right? And when we have clarity, what that means is we have a clear thought space. And what happens is, in that clear thought space is now the ability for source, the higher power, to come through and access us, because there's now clarity. The light can shine through, and we then resonate with that light, because once that light comes into that cube, it disseminates through our physicality, in our energy. So when I say by physicality, I'm saying the physicality is run by energy, and the clarity, the potency of that energy coming in, of source coming in to that cube and dispersing like a prism, dispersing the light through, or the energy through our body, makes our presence, our presence, like how we represent ourselves in front of everybody else, in our physicality, our presence become potent and powerful. And that's how we persuade, that's how we move through the universe, through earth, through our existence. Is either we are going to be led, or we're going to lead. Either we're going to be led, or we're going to lead. If our thought space is contaminated, it's impure, it's not friction free, then what happens is it weakens our ability to express our energy. And if we have weakened energy, we have weakened presence, weakened ability to impact. If we have clear thought space, we have pure energy, we have potency, we have presence, and we have an ability to express and impact. So, dear friends, brothers and sisters, it's our thought space that we have to focus on, and we have to get clarity in that thought space by having clear thoughts and clear thinking. And how do you get that clear thought, and how do you get that clear thinking? That's the real issue, right? So the way you do it is you use thought to attack thought. That's how you do it. So you have to do the first thing first, then the second thing, and then the third thing. Let me explain. The first thing is contextual awareness. You have to, in your thoughts, clarify to yourself as to whether you exist. Silly question, right? Kind of strange, weird, but it's not. Because most of us, when we're not thinking, we have that smoke in that crystal clear cube. If we have that smoke, it's because we haven't addressed our reality. We're just existing like zombies, living dead, meaning that we are here on planet Earth, but we haven't questioned the reason why we're here. We haven't delved into it. We haven't thought about it in any way, shape or form. And so we're just existing. We haven't got direction. We haven't got a goal. We haven't validated, even at the most simple level, at the most tacit level, we haven't validated why we exist, that we exist, and what should be the meaning of our life. So the first thing we have to do is validate that we exist. Are we real? Are we true? Are we actually here? Or is this all just a big, dream? And the reality is, when we observe, so now you're thinking, and you're using your thinking to reflect, ponder, observe. When we observe, what we see is that not only are we alive because we can touch and feel ourselves, right? But that we have observed that family, friends, people that we knew existed do not exist anymore, and that they have died, that death is also true and real. So there's two certainties in life. One is existence, life, that we exist, and the other one is death, that death is guaranteed. Two guarantees in life. I can confidently say that nothing else is guaranteed apart from these two things. One is life, that you exist, and two, that eventually you will not exist, that you will pass away. So what happens is, within these two truths, right, is the journey, is life, and we have to figure out what we're here for in between these two truths. No matter how sure or how long these truths are going to be for, we've got to figure it out. But the reality is, we're getting contextual awareness, we exist, and that we're here. Now, given the choice, if you were the person in charge of your existence, would you have created death? That's a question I have for you. Would death be something that the human being, if it was in charge of its existence, of its own creation, would it have created death? And the answer is absolutely no. So we have life and we have death, and we did not create death, because we would not do that. So if we did not create death, that means something more powerful, greater than ourselves, exists, because that death is a creation as much as life is a creation. So life is a creation, but death also, think about it, is a creation. And if it's been created, then in between there is a goal, a journey, and that's our point, that we have to discover that journey. But we're getting contextual awareness. My point I'm trying to make with this is that we're using thought to think about thought. And in that exercise, through pondering and reflection, just on this point alone, we've figured out that, we're alive. This is not a dream. Death is guaranteed. That means we're not in control. Something is much more powerful, much greater than us, that is in control. And that if there is death, there's an exit and an entrance. Then because there is an exit, the thing that we're doing in the middle, there has to be a reason behind it, a meaning behind it, because there's an exit, right? Death has been created as much as life. And so we then start figuring out, pondering what our reason for existence is. So in that small space of an example, I'm trying to give to you ideas on my point about how to create space in that cube and to obliterate the smoke, because there's so many false ideas, so much false thinking that we have in our mind, so much smoke. Our false ideas, our false beliefs, our perceptions, our lack of contextual awareness is the smoke that is blocking us from receiving the light, basically, that light that is going to flow through us as energy and allow itself to, that energy to express itself and come out through us as action. So when we have pure light, then we have pure action. And if we have pure action, then we have pure impact into the world, into the universe. And then that pure impact leaves a reputation. And that reputation is our representation of the fact that we existed on planet Earth. So ultimately our goal, our aim is to leave such right action that we leave right reputation behind when we exit the universe, and we will move on. So to be able to get contextual awareness, we have to think, we have to ponder, we have to reflect, we have to observe, we have to see the universe. And what we have to do is, once we recognize that, we have not taken control of our lives, we're not in control, that there is something higher, more superior than us that exists, and we believe it as a truth. This is a really important point, that the smoke only clears and neutralizes and gets out of the way once we believe it to be a truth, like authentically, sincerely. If we don't believe it and we're following it as a matter of fact, going through the motions, then it has no impact. The impact is through the sincerity, the recognition, the realization. That's where the potency is. So once we realize we exist and that something more powerful than us has created us, the next question is, what's our purpose? Why has it created us? What are we here for? So then we have to answer that question, and we have to observe to be able to answer that question as well, right? And I've explained in a previous video that you can see, it's called The Purpose of Life. What that purpose of life is, and in a nutshell, it's about transcendence, that we are spiritual beings and that we are human beings, all in the same entity. And our journey is that the spirit is looking to use the matter, the physical, to express, to experience. And our journey is to move from being a spiritual being that is in the shell of the human form and transcend and develop such thoughts that they're able to detach from the physical, even though they are in the physical, and go back, ascend back to being part of the spiritual, connecting back to source. So our journey is to release ourselves through thought, through a realization of ourselves, and to get to such a level of realization, what in Islam is called submission, where we get such a level of realization, such a level of oneness, that we release ourselves while we're still in this physical form and transcend and connect to source. And in Buddhism, that's called enlightenment. But the enlightenment is after the transcendence, because when you transcend, when you disconnect, is then where you're at this higher dimension, or connected back to that dimension. And that's where all the wisdom and knowledge is. And because we're aligned, then that wisdom and knowledge is able to flow through us. And our alignment is that clarity in the cube, and that light is able to disseminate through us, and we're able to express ourselves into the physical world, and create right action, positive impact, and be remembered for the contribution we made into the universe through our actions. I'm going to leave it for now. I was just trying to give you some points for thought that, that we do have this thought space that we have to get clarity within, and we have to use our thinking to attack our beliefs and get to the truth of those beliefs, so that the smoke is removed. We have clarity, and in that clarity, in that alignment, the light is able to disseminate through us, and it creates an expression, an impact into the world, and that is our source of peace, our meaning. It gives us tranquility. And so life is not about happiness. Life is not about happiness. Sometimes it is about suffering, but it's suffering with meaning. So it's meaning that life is all about, and how we develop and attain meaning. Like I said, life exists and death exists. So there's an exit, and so in between we have to figure out the meaning, the highest, the best meaning for each one of us individually in our existence in life. And so life is about meaning, and pure meaning, real meaning, true meaning, not about happiness. And you know, the acquisition of the material is a diversion, because it's a short-term happiness. It's not real happiness. It's not real peace. Real peace comes through the acquisition of truth, and through that truth you get peace, because it gives you such meaning that the suffering that you feel because of a lack of understanding, a lack of meaning, you get that meaning, and so you're feeling fulfilled. You're at peace, and you're contributing, you're giving back. So that was my message for today, is clarity of thinking, and it comes through intention. So you have to focus first on developing that square space, and that square space is, you know, once it's cleared through intention and good action, where you put attention in your intention, and get clarity, and then you take action. All right, guys, take care. Bye now.
Hey team, it's day 20 of the 30-day challenge, or day 19, I'm not sure. But basically I'm cheating again, feeling very tired, didn't get changed. Just going to do a quick 1-minute jog, going to get to the end, and then I'm going to try and get back. Very poor performance, definitely. I'm trying to still ponder and figure out what's going on. I may need to do something in the middle of the day, but I'm getting better in terms of organising my schedule for the day, and getting into an even more refined routine, because it's the routine that I'm trying to develop that will free up my focus on being able to jog. So just running a little bit now, keeping my composure on the 30-day challenge, just keeping the plate spinning, and I'm going to try and improve my performance over time. Right guys, talk to you later.